congratulations on the show.
Thank you very much.
So you are a brand new character, so
Yes.
you're joining them. When you get a role like this, do you go back and watch the first season and see what went on?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because obviously for the plot, there's an element of it that some of the events of the first season happen in between a moment in season 2, but also just to understand the tone of the show and the atmosphere and the vibe of the show, what kind of style of acting maybe it requires. Yeah, it always helps to watch the previous season, definitely.
I get impression as soon as we meet Callum that he is someone who's been at this, trying to unveil this big secret for a very long time, and he's finally getting close. Yet there are obstacles on his way.
Yeah.
How do you sort of work with the writers to sort of build that kind of character, that kind of like investigative journalist?
Yeah, well, it was brilliant working with Veronica, who obviously was the creator of the show, and she was so collaborative and really excited, I think, by the role of Callum, this investigative journalist. It's almost like the role of a detective, in a classic sort of film sense. So we had a great chat before we started filming about the ideas and the maybe references and other performances that we kind of thought it was similar to. So that really helped to kind of, for me to know what kind of place that Callum's coming from, because he's exhausted, isn't he, at the start? I mean, he's been at this job a while. It's so difficult. It's so challenging, fighting with your editor to try and get a story made, trying to take on powerful lawyers for companies and families that don't want a story to come out. So you have to be relentless to keep at that job and to keep kind of breaking down those walls to get a story out.
Yeah, I think there's a palpable tone shift from bringing a show like that, from like being set in San Francisco to being set in London, and with that, sort of the language changes. And do you work closely with Veronica to sort of get the right tone or get the right kind of language when you're offered your
Definitely. And, I think being Irish as well, there's maybe some slight sort of, the way you might say the line that I would just flag with Veronica, because she's American, I'd be like, do you mind if I just tweak that a little bit? And she was always very, welcoming and open to that. But you're right, because I think that London is a character in this season. In a way that San Francisco was too, but there was a kind of almost a quietness at times, a stillness to San Francisco that is not there in season 2. It is sort of on the front foot all the time. There's a great pace and energy to London, and a grittierness, maybe a darkness to it as well. So there's definitely it's a bit rainier, it's a bit cloudier, it's a bit murkier, and I think that's reflected then in the characters and the nuance of them.
Yeah, you work quite closely to Gugu, who also takes on the role of an executive producer in this. How does that closeness in working with someone who sort of is almost in every scene, how does that work out for you?
Oh, she's just a dream to work with, and you hope that's the case when you're working with somebody, particularly somebody who's going to be working with a lot. And thankfully, we got on so well, and it was easy because she's one of the nicest people in the world. And obviously, again, she had the new pressure and added pressure of being the executive producer as well, and she just led the line, with such ease and grace, and made every day just incredibly easy and a warm atmosphere to work in.
Yeah. Do you, when you get like a role like someone like Callum, he is someone who's looking for the truth, but also doesn't really care who it might hurt. Is that like a problematic sort of thing that you're trying to put forward in that storytelling as well?
Yeah, I think it's important. I mean, I think every character in this show, they have an edge to them where they all sort of maybe blur the lines between right and wrong. And they're all very driven. And I think Callum's like that too. And now, look, I'm always going to defend my character, so I think he's doing it for the right reasons. But there's an edge to him, for sure. And I think if you work at that job long enough and you see a good story thrown away by, a team of lawyers that want it gone, it must make you so frustrated. And I think he's quite angry. He's quite fed up. He's got a chip on his shoulder, for sure. So I think that maybe drives him to make a few mistakes. But I think he's trying to do the right thing. I think that's important.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for your time, and congratulations again
Thanks
on the show.
Much. Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey, you guys!
Hey, you guys!
Hey, that's what they all say.
Hey, you guys!